Everybody, let me get some coffee and then we'll get to it. Maybe the best song in the world. Memory saved. No. Yes, we can. And that is Boeing. Where's the Boeing chart? Boom. All right. Oh boy. Oh, well, that's god awful. Is that me? I don't know why it's so awful. Hold on. That's just awful. And you can see the light and everything. Well, that's not working. Hold on. Oh, does this do it? There you go. Is that better? Well, that's better. But now you can see the light. All right, hold on. Well, that gives a shadow. boy. But now I'm in the hole. I don't know what to tell you. Well, why can't you keep cutting off my head? I'm only 5'10". Like, I mean, for God's sake. Like, all right, you can see the top of my head. All right, this is what this. But then I'm typing up here. Like, it's so awkward. Do I want to lift up the camera? All right, well, we don't have time for this nonsense. All right, let's just get to it. This is what you got. You got shadows. I don't have anything else on. Hopefully you can hear me. This was all perfect on Saturday. It was like, it was literally perfect. How about if I do this? Does that work? That might work better. All right, that might work better. As long as you can hear me. If you can't hear me, somebody in the room tell me and we'll just go with it. I don't know why this looks like garbage now. It was so good the other day. I don't know why it looks like crap. So annoying. I just got to get a guy in here to do it. Every time I attempt it, all right, I drop that in, I drop that in. All right, good. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. Get to my issues later. Let's put that here. And which one are we looking at? Which screen do we have? We have this one. So let's drop that bad boy here. And let's squeeze this down to here. Yep, that's good. Cool. Well, if nothing else, you're entertained. All right, great. Let's get to it. Sorry. All right, so now it got brighter somehow. That's exhausting. All right. All right, let's get to it. BA bought a company. So the company they bought was this Spirit. I'll tell you what's interesting about this. You're getting 8%, right? So the difference between what they paid and where the stock is roughly 8%. I'm just going to make sure something and see if you can hear me. You sound good? I sound good. All right, cool. So you're getting 8%, meaning there's $3 in difference between where this is and where you're at, right? Why this is important is you're getting a discount on Boeing. So let's just say Boeing's at 182. Here's what's interesting to me. Boeing just got in all kinds of trouble. They're going to have to deal with all kinds of crap now, right? The criminal trial, and they're going to force the CEO out is what's going to happen. They're going to pay a fine, and that's going to be the end of it. I mean, that's where all this stuff always goes, right? And that's where this is going. So the question then becomes, what are the issues and how do they handle them? But from my perspective, if I'm getting an 8% discount, it's almost like buying Boeing at an 8% discount. I don't know that that's the worst trade in the world here. I mean, you keep getting bad news and you get buyers. You get more bad news and then you get buyers. You get more bad news and then you get buyers. It seems pretty darn washed out. And if I go here to just click on DeMark for a second, just to show, this is where DeMark starts saying, like, DeMark was just, for me, it's like exhaustion spots, right? And so they have a little line right here, and this is what he's good. This is what I think it's good for. Is it exhausted? Yeah. And then he'll put in where he thinks his support levels are based upon exhaustion, and they're fairly decent. If you're like a long-term kind of guy, to me, this kind of makes sense because you can go out there and buy SPR at an 8% discount to Boeing, and you're getting a little bit of a cushion. I would think, here I go again, thinking that they would not have bought Boeing. You would not have tried to buy Boeing, right? Unless you knew this was going to go through. Like, Boeing would not have tried to buy them. They had to know that the DOJ was going to do this. They have lawyers, they have lobbyists, they have to know. And it even might be one of the reasons why the guy didn't retire right away, because he knew this was coming, and now they get him out plus the fine. Now they made him do the perp walk in front of, Congress. You're a bad person. I'm a bad person. All that stuff. But he still gets to keep $40 million a year. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But to me, looking at this, I think it's pretty clear at this point that, barring a absolute catastrophe, I don't see how this gets worse. So I think that's a pretty interesting idea. You can do what you want with that. If we look at the Qs, and let's just mark off some levels, I would expect light volume all week. You have a short week, you have light volume. It's definitely out there. It's certainly something I'd be paying attention to. And then we'll go from there. And then, that's it. And we'll see how it goes. But you have a light volume, and you got to understand you have light volume. So even the breakouts, I'm going to be super suspect of today, and I'll be looking at the other side of them. I think that's a much more important level because you rejected there twice, and then you were able to hold there, bonk, bonk, right? So I'd watch that more than anything. I don't know that this is the most pertinent level, but there's certainly a level here that I would watch on there. And again, you're just looking at where you're at going, all right, well, where else? I mean, is that going to be an issue? I don't know, they could try to hold it before, maybe. I think I'd be a little lower, don't you? Work with me. There you go. So I think that they would be the most important levels that I'd watch today. Okay, why does this thing keep freezing? So I'm finally getting used to the windows a little bit better. It's crazy to me, no matter how much money that I would spend on a Mac, that I could not get a Mac that, make sure it does what I need. I could not get a Mac that does more than 4 monitors, or more than 2 monitors, actually. It was kind of crazy. So we went back to Windows, and let me do that. And then we'll go here and go SPY. Let's put those levels in so we can see those, and we'll mark those off. You keep freezing on me. Really? Oh, God. Really? I like this thing, but it keeps freezing. It dies too often. Maybe I got to buy a couple of them. Hello? Okay. All right. Let's go old school. There we go. Let's just go old school. All right. Gonna plug these things in. I just bought that mouse too. I like it a lot, but that's why I always keep backup of things I can plug in. Keyboards, everything. I even have double computers. I know it sounds weird, but it works. I don't have to worry about it. All right. So this level's for SPY. I don't know that you're really going anywhere today, guys. I'd be careful. I'd watch how we act on all the economic news. I'd really watch the bond market. Friday's bond market was brutal compared to what people were expecting. And I think that there's something to that. I think you have to go a little lower here, don't you? I think that's more poignant. I think they're good levels. You could argue here too. Right? I mean, they would be the levels I'd be paying attention to today. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I don't see it. It doesn't really seem like we're doing anything, does it? So we've kind of changed to that yellow, and then you kind of died down. And it really seems to me that really what they're doing is just setting up retail a lot after hours and pre-market more than anything else. But right there, see it? Some others in there, aren't there? But you don't really have a trend, guys. Remember, when you're trendless, moving averages are pretty much garbage. You basically you got to go back to support and resistance levels, which I think is way more obvious here than anything else. The cloud keeps flipping, but I'm not saying it doesn't work. It does, but you got to be cognizant of the environment you're in. And you did turn yellow here again. I got water in the air. Let's drop that bad boy down here. I'm not going. That is it. All right, cool. God, these lights got bright, didn't they? I think I gotta get rid of that color on that wall. Maybe make that dark. Make the whole wall black. All right, let's go to the names that are most interesting to me. Then I will get asked about, and then we'll go from there. Tesla, I'll get asked about. Let me start there. I'm going to take a lot of questions today, but I know there's certain names that I'm definitely going to be asked about. And let's go here, and let's just drop this into a bear chart. All right, and I want to keep the pre and the post in. So the one thing that I think you're seeing a lot of is this kind of stuff. You're seeing a lot of gap ups and gap down. So they're making people really think, but who's really buying right now at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? I mean, you think institutions are like, oh, I missed it? Or you think that's retail? It's probably retail, right? I would just watch that 202 like a hawk and make sure you get through. I thought it was going to go the other day as well. Candidly, I bought it. I did very well with the first buy. I added the secondary buy. And then by the end of it, I wound up losing money on the whole thing. I pressed the bet. It didn't work. 205 is really where I think you're heading. But then you have some other levels up here you're really going to have to watch now too. I'm starting to lose it on this magnet. I was friends with the magnet. Now the magnet's driving me nuts. All right, so there you go. I don't know that you're going to get the institutional love. My larger concern is this. Like, if I could tell you what my larger concern. Thanks. My larger concern is this, guys. I'm just going to tell you this, and I've never seen this before. I was talking to somebody about it. That's like a bond guy. We've never moved like that. We've never really moved like that off Thursday's event. We just haven't. And so it's pretty telling that they're placing their bets. And their bets are, tariffs, and that yields are going to go higher, and that this is inflationary. It seems to me that they're placing their bets that way. And I've never really seen them move so fast. I mean, that was pretty fast move if you really take a look at it. If you go and take a look at like Friday at 9 o'clock to now, and I know it might not look like a lot, but if you go here and it would have been way more dramatic if it worked. From here up, right? I mean, it's 4% on yield. You got a 4% increase in yield, and it's been one trading day plus overnight. It's not great for equities. It's not. I mean, it is what it is. You should be able to discuss monetary policy and fiscal policy without getting goofy. So it's a concern. I mean, that if I had to tell you the one big concern of mine, it's that. The one thing that I think everybody should really do is I really think that they should be watching the, I bet you if I lift that camera up, that would be better. All right. The one thing that I think you need to do is watch the bond auctions. I think you need to watch the treasury auctions. I think you need to watch them really closely today. It'll tell you more than what we're saying. And they could be events. They could be actual events today, because this is the first auction. We don't usually have an auction on Fridays. This will be the first auction since Thursday. And I would be watching that. As far as names like NVIDIA, you know, I don't know what everyone's hurry is going to be to get in here. I think it's pretty fascinating to me. Well, let me rephrase this. This is really fascinating to me because I have my levels marked off, right? But again, I've got Asia dumping, right? Asia's dumping. They can't get out fast enough. And then retail's like, oh, we want to buy. And like, look at that 7 o'clock level coming in at 7, just coming in hot. Like, if you just did a 1 minute orb at 7 o'clock, you can always see where retail is. I always mark this off because this is when, you know, retail gets giddy and they're getting involved. That's not institutional buying. That's all retail getting goofy, right? But it didn't break. So that means retail is still involved. Sometimes what I'll do, if you see retail like this and it's getting all goofy, I will just drop an anchored VWAP on that just because I want to see, you know, where are they? And so far, none of them are down. Now the question becomes, how are they going to act if and when they're down? So it's definitely on my radar, but they're definitely going to bid it up probably into the close, which is what they already did, right? So then you would have to come here and go and mark that off. I think you do. I actually shorted this end of day. If you're not looking at the last, I've got something I got to watch tonight's video. I got to show you this. I'm not going to get into it now, but you got to watch tonight's video and watch what institutions are doing, what they've been doing for the past 3 months. But you got to be watching Friday. You have to be watching your stocks on Friday. If you're not, you're going to miss things. But you got right to there, and then everybody that bought it, they're getting out. So that's a level now. You know, it always is a level, but now it's being one of substance that you have to pay attention to. I just don't know who's going to come out and say, you know what, I really need to get involved today. I think that's going to be a real issue for us. Like I got a wall there, and you're seeing that all over the place, right? Like even Micron. Like who's going to look at this and go, you know what I need to do? I need to buy Micron today because it's cheap. You're seeing the exact opposite of that, right? You're just seeing all the selling. I got all these lines in here. I got 100 different lines, different levels to get rid of it all. So, but the most important one to me is just the peak anchored VWAP. I think if everyone would do a little bit better, I'm going to do a video on this for everybody. If you used the pain points for your VWAPs, you'd be better off. You'll find places of interest. It becomes very clear where those areas of interest are, right? So something to think about. But I do think that's interesting to watch, like the NVIDIAs of the world today. As NVIDIA goes, the stock market, it goes to the NASDAQ. So I don't think that's going to change. I think you have to look for separation season and start looking at where they're putting the money. And it seems to me that they're putting it in some of the, you know, the lower beta names. You got these names that are just grinding. Like, look at this. I'm showing this. John brought this up. I think it was John. But you pop and then it's a slow grind. I mean, it's not sexy, but you know, you're up $4 and you didn't lose a night of sleep. I think you have to start looking at those kinds of names and wondering. I do feel like I'm sitting in a hole. But they are holding. You know, some of these names, Costco, look at Walmart. I mean, they are holding. So I do think that's interesting. You know, you start looking at some of these other names like Amazon. Okay, we held for 2 days, broke out, and then it just pulled back. Meta's got all kinds of issues this morning. I'm surprised it's up, quite frankly. Apple bailed on them, said your AI, we don't agree with your AI. Goldman had a real negative, not negative, but neutral argument. Like, you're spending all this money on this. Is this another boondoggle of yours? It wasn't. It was good about AI, but it was really kind of negative about like Meta. Like, how are you going to benefit from this? So I thought that was interesting. And then you have the EU suing them. So I don't know. I didn't think it was a great day for Meta, but for whatever reason, you're up. Probably because of Friday, but the bidding up has me more concerned. I'd rather have a flush. Just get rid of the scared people. Chewy. So you got this guy, the kitty guy, and he's out there. I think he bought like 6% or 7% of the company. And I don't know that he's going to have the same cachet he once had. I think a lot of people realize they just got set up. I mean, GME made billions, literally billion, not like figuratively. They literally made billions off of retail. And he's actually being sued, that dude. And I think he's going to have an issue. I think he's going to have, because once they get into discovery, it doesn't matter. But like I think they're going to find emails between these guys. But what's fascinating to me about this is like I've just abandoned that. We're on to this one. So you have a bunch of people that are just bag holders in this thing now, and this company raised billions of dollars. At some point, people are going to just realize that, they're being played, and it is what it is. Now, what is Chewy going to do? I don't know. Does this guy come out and do the same thing and go, let's go raise billions and let's do a secondary? And then this is the one that's going to buy Bitcoin. See, there's a couple things that they could do, the company could do to solidify the stock price. The fact that he filed on this one's pretty interesting to me, because maybe it means he's going to hold it. Like, you're actually really going to hold the position. GME just rented, right? Like, GME's toast. The stock's done. But if he's going to hold this, and they come out and say, hey, we're going to buy Bitcoin, we're doing a secondary, and then we're going to buy Bitcoin with the money. Well, that's actually bad for MicroStrategies, because that's what people use to hedge with MicroStrategies. I'm not so sure that's what they're doing, but I'm just thinking out loud, like, what is the purpose? What is really the purpose? I mean, he just finds like these beaten down companies. Well, that guy's associated with this one too, right? The guy that runs GME now. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. If we look at this from that perspective, let's get into this. Earnings were not bad. They really were not bad. I mean, you have a legit company that makes money, and there's no reason, this can't become a better company over time. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know, but I don't know how much cachet he's going to have today. To me, I think people are already like throwing in the towel. If you put an anchor VWAP there, I'd be looking at shorting it again. I shorted it here. I did quite well with it. I was very happy, and I bought a bunch of puts too, so I did really well. Shorted at 37. And I think you're going to see more of that. Like, I think you're going to see more of the fade on his moves. It doesn't mean the company doesn't work well over time. And I'm trying to figure out, maybe that's what he's doing. Like, okay, this company is going to work. I'll put capital here. I don't know. Anyway, this thing will be really violent today. We went over Boeing, Tesla, NVIDIA. They're my big dogs. That's what I want to cover. All right, you're done. Cool. That's 400 in the room. Yay. What time is it? 8:41. Oh, perfect. It started early today. I did want to leave a lot of time for questions, so let's get to them and get started. Oh, if you are on the wait list to get in the room, more invitations will go out today. What's up, John? Hilton. Hilton COC. Let's do them all. Why not? Hyatt. You want Hyatt or Hilton? Hilton. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why domestic, like, watch this. It's not there. There was another one that did it too. I have to find it. I'll find it. I'll find it. There's another one that did it too. Another domestic company that did it. It wasn't Wynn. But there was another domestic hotel chain that went up the same day. It wasn't Marriott though, right? Was it Marriott? No, it was somebody else. It'll come to me. Was it Hyatt? Yeah, it was Hyatt. There it is. Wow, we're going to need way more caffeine. I'm wondering why they're going up, because they're more domestic than abroad. And I'm wondering if that's why. That's a perfect cup and handle. Really is. It's perfect. So I like those a lot. Test, can't break, pulls back. That's all you get, and then lifts. Pardon me. Super easy trades. There's your level. And then you go from there. I like that a lot. We have volume. Yeah, I'd really pay attention to stuff like this. And what you might want to do is what happened at the end of the day. Yeah. So you really might want to pay attention to those, like what moved in the last 10 minutes. You might really want to spend a lot of time doing this. You know, just look at it. If you're interested in something, just go, what happened in the last 10 minutes of the day? You could say half hour too, but really like market on close tells you exactly what they're doing. And they bought. I think they're going to buy more low beta names. I think that's where all this is heading. That's where I think we're going. I think we're finally going to hit a stock pickers market, and tech is going to be tech. Like tech's going to be like all over the place again. Like it's going to be actually how tech used to trade, which I loved because it's so wild. You can make so much money off of it. Just a monster, man. I mean, I don't have much to say about it, John. I don't really how much value I'm going to add here. Again, I would just go back to the last 5 or 10 minutes of every single day and just start looking at the volume, because that's institutions now are doing 20% of their buying in the last half hour because they just keep trying to hide it. Eventually, they're just going to come back to the point and just spread it out over time. Is where I think they're going to go with it. I have a coaster or something. Okay, coasters. Bought a new desk, really happy with it. All right, what else? Pen. Yeah, I actually think they're going to get bought. I do. I think that they are an absolute boondoggle over what happened there with Barstool. You paid $500 million and then you gave it back to him. I think that's a real issue. Let me just see. Meta, Chewy, SPR, ISM Manufacturing. Yeah, that's going to be an issue. You know, do we have a bond auction at 1 o'clock today? My notes are telling me that we don't, but for some reason I think that we do. I'm going to just double check something. Give me a second. We don't. We just have the short term. And then you have JOLTS tomorrow on Tuesday, right? And then we have bond auction. Where's my long end? I have the minutes. Why don't I have no long end bonds this week? Why would I have no long end bonds this week in July? Give me 1 second, please. That's really weird, isn't it? Does that site just not have them? Give me a second. 1 second. Sorry, guys. No, we just don't have any. Wow. Okay. That's odd. Real odd. I think Penn gets bought. I do. The other day, I was looking at this going, I think I was looking at the book value of it. I have those notes somewhere in here. $18, $17.50. And then looking at those, I think there's something to that. I'll go from there. I do. I really do. The more I think about it, I don't know how you could have faith. Like if you have a stake. See, the other thing is like he has a ton of this stock, so he's going to vote for this company to be sold because he knows how crappy management is. That could be really interesting, actually. Yep, I covered it. CEO, I can't offer anything more than you've already seen, John. H, yeah, I think it's there. I get it. I get the Hyatt. I mean, I get them. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but they are doing it. I mean, is this the week? Yeah, I mean, I get that, man. I do. That's like you have a perfect weekly pendant there, and you just broke it. You probably saw that already, didn't you, Kim? That's probably why you're interested in it. But you can see that weekly pendant, right? That's interesting. It's always interesting to me when it's not just one person, but it's like two people that come and find something. You always clone these. You just want to see if they fit. It kind of fits in there, doesn't it? It won't close out of it, but you're there. There's your pendant. There's your break of your pendant. And then you could also just look at the flagpole and say, are you above that flagpole? You are for the first time. No one's going to ring a bell. What's the low of that weekly bar? 148, Cam. Nobody's selling. You got really light volume, but nobody's selling. So, I mean, I do like it. What's up, Luke? What's going on, Boomer? I can't go through all those. Yeah, I think they're worried about inflation rearing its head again. The DAX data from Germany was really bad. If you take a look at what happened with services and how services spiked on the cut, it's a problem. MNDY, JP Morgan looks great. SPG, this is kind of interesting to me. I thought these were kind of really interesting. Like, look at that volume. A lot of people are coming out saying it's the worst is behind them. All the REITs. I've been saying that for some time, but I do think that. I do think the worst is behind them. I just don't know where they go. I really don't. I don't know where they go. Some of them are never coming back. Some of them are just dead. They're just dead. They're just dead money. This thing's dead. Like I read this whole report on it. There was a really good article in the Wall Street Journal article. Like they are just so hosed. Do you buy it? I mean, if you're looking long term, I think you're fine. Like if you're trying to get the yield and everything, I don't see what the issue is. But are you going to like explode? I don't think so. eBay. Where are we here? eBay. No. If you don't have volume, dude, you got volume. And they are integral to AI. And you did break this DTL, right? I mean, it's really simple trade if you want to. I mean, it's sitting right there. I mean, there's your trade. I just don't know that you're going to get that impetus. I think the impetus is going to go to different areas now. I don't know that you're going to get that umph. Some of these names really are showing that. Like, crowd really showed that, like, push, right? It's very rare for me to buy a stock that's under 55. Really rare, but like certain names are really showing that, like, okay, we're going to go. And some of these, are kind of interesting, but I don't know. It's hard for me to tell you that it's just going to stop considering it's been going up for 2 weeks. You can try. I mean, just use that. Here's how I would do it. Let's say I wanted to do this, right? Because out of all the names you mentioned, this is the most interesting. You actually have to use that low. So you actually have to look at this and go, how do I lose $16? And then quantify the position that way, right? Like that's how I would approach it. That's one heck of a cup and handle, man. There's the cup. There's your handle. It's there. And then you got a big target up here too, like 950. I mean, it could go. You held the 55 SMA on the weekly. I don't know that this is your week, Luke. I guess is the best way to say it. I think they are. I think Thursday spooked everybody. I think Thursday things became so much clearer to people that scared people. That's what I think happened. CECO, AMKR. Let's do AMKR. This is the kind of where I'd be looking for stuff. This is where I'd be looking for stuff. This kind of stuff. I think if you start looking like for this, you're going to find things. You start going through like the small cap names, it's going to start getting really interesting. You're just going to have to be able to deal with the volatility. But this is a perfect example of like, that could be a monster. I don't know what this is. I don't know why that happened. I really don't. Is that, is that even real? Is that a mistake? Or was there just a cross trade? I mean, that's a big number. It makes me question it. I mean, there's nothing even close to it. I wonder if that's a misprint. No, I mean, you had one here. What time is it? Oh, what am I messaging? Oh, I got it. Crap. Wow, you got too many names in here. But that's really it, isn't it? That is it. One second, guys. Sorry. Boop. I'd start going through small cap names and looking if you like playing that game. Hey, Mayor. Good morning. I think you're going to have some issues there just because so much of that is NVIDIA. And I don't know what the impetus is going to be for people to get in. Like, look, I personally think NVIDIA should be at like 140. I think that makes sense to me, right? Like that's how I see NVIDIA. 140, something like that. That's really how I say it. I think that's fair value, quite frankly. 35 times, 40 PE. I mean, I think as soon as it got there, like that was it. I think that's kind of one of the reasons. Actually, I actually think that's one of the reasons why it stopped, because people were like, okay, well, I'm at fair value. Because historically, their PE is 35 over the past 3 years, right? And you take 40 as earnings, because that's really the real consensus on earnings. And then you get that, and then people are like, okay, well, how much am I going to pull back? How much room am I going to have before fair value? It actually should probably be trading over that. But it doesn't matter. It's what it is. Unless NVIDIA goes up, and I don't know. I don't know what your impetus is today. The fact that this thing's bidding up is a bigger problem to me than if it just collapsed. I would rather come in and be staring at 112 or staring at like 102 and just get it over with, rip the Band-Aid off, get rid of everyone with their weak hands. I would rather have that. I don't think so. I wish you the best. I hope it does. But I think you have to look at it that way, Mara. So like Taiwan Semi, like if you're looking like super long-term, I cover it in the week ahead. I cover it in our private video, Mara. I mean, if you're looking super long-term, I don't know how you're not in that name and just forget you own it. Like no one can do what they do and they're going to double capacity. Like it's okay. Like there's not really, I'm not really adding a lot of value there. Like there's not really much more to say, right? They have their technology, that COWOS. No one can do it. They can do it. And they're going to double their capacity in 24, and then they're going to double it in 25. Like, okay, what's the problem? You have that issue is if China's going into Taiwan, if they're not doing it this year, that's off the table. We're getting a 5.5% yield. I don't think so, bro. Thanks, Bergie. Yeah. I think Chewy's going to be really active today. It depends on the side you want to take. I actually think people are kind of onto his flim now, and it is what it is. I mean, he's making a killing doing what he's doing, but the people that are following him are not. And after a while, people just start to realize that they're not making money, that they are the people that, he's pulling money out of their pockets, right? And people start to realize that, no matter how many Band-Aids or casts the guy wears. So I don't know, man. I'll be on the other side of the trade. I hope it spikes up to like 40 so I can short it. But it's a real company. This is a real company. And, you look at it and go, okay, well, you lost money here, right? And this thing was at $25 and then you sold down. You still made money. You're still doing $3 billion a quarter, right? And you're making money off of it. You just got to fix your margins. You came in here, you doubled your earnings here. Say it. So quarter over quarter, you doubled your earnings. I don't know if it's their seasonality to dog food. I can't think of why there would be seasonality to dog food, right? So they must have done something with the margins. So it makes sense. And he might have been building this the entire time and then just taken the GME money and just rolled it right in. So his cost will be lower. And now he looks like a genius. It's actually brilliant. It's a very sickly, brilliant guy. Yeah, I don't know that he's going to mess with as much as he's just going to bury it there. I think it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So correlations are going out the way, right? You're not seeing the same types of correlations we once saw. I would think that you're better off with individual names. That's what I did. If you're one of those people, I'm going to put this on the floor because I don't want to get this all a mess. That's how I would lean. I think the easiest pair trade in the world right now, bro, if you're trying to do that kind of stuff, Cap, if you're trying to do like that kind of stuff, is short the socks, long IGV. Like, I don't think there's an easier trade out there. Well, that's not true. I think there's a couple, but it's like me always when I say these things are going to zero or they're pigs. I change my mind in 2 seconds. But if you go out there and look, watch. But wait, there's more. But if you go and look at these and you look at how they trade in tandem and then just go to even like 24 or let's go to 20, right? And you look at this disparity, like this is the single greatest disparity you've had. It doesn't exist. And if you start going like really back to here, if you go to inception, you'll find out that hold on, there's a spot in here. I got to find it. It's not going to show me on this chart. I think I got to go to the weekly and show you. If I can find it. There's a way to do this to show you it. But if you go back to exception, here, let me show it. All right. IGV was actually over the socks, right? And so it always leads. Because you need the hardware for the chips. I'm not going to get into all that. But all right, so then you go back 10 years. All right, so let's go up 9. All right, we go back 10 years, right? You go here. And you go, okay, well, now we're at 10 years, we're trading in tandem. And then you go back to the pandemic. Right? I'm just using data points, actual data. Okay, work with me. And you go to the pandemic and you look at that spread. That disparity is freaking huge. It doesn't exist. Well, I can't say it doesn't exist because you're looking at it. But to me, that's the easiest trade in the world. You short the socks, go long IGV, and put that trade on. If you want to see how that would play out, you would just go IGV. I don't know if you do this kind of stuff, but this is the stuff I think about at night when I can't sleep. But these are they're such easy trades where you look at this and go, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense because that's not usually how this goes, right? And you can see that how this is at trough valuation levels in regards to it, right? And then you go and take a look at this over an hourly, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, we might be bottoming here. Here's the DTL, and that might be bottoming. So you'd probably want to watch, over the next couple of days how this plays out. But I think that's the easiest thing in the world. And so if you looked at that from this level, from when it started, right, here to now, hold on, I'll show you. If you looked at this from now to here, how that started, what do you want, 10%, right? And then how many days was that? 7 days, 6 days? I don't even think it's been 6 days. It started on the 18th. Yeah, it's 2 weeks. and you're up 10% on that trade, and all you've done is short one and go long the other, that disparity's got to change, man. It has to. And you're already seeing it. We're already seeing that. There's a couple of reasons for it, but I think that's like the easiest pair trade in the world. I know that's not your question, but if I was just going to buy the sector, I would do the pair trade. I wouldn't just do the sector, because the whole sector could come down. The whole market could drop. So if I'm making a sector bet, I'd want to hedge it. And I think the way to hedge it is to hedge it with the thing that it's most correlated to with the greatest disparity. Other than that, I'd go out there and buy the top names, which is what I did. I bought the top names that are in that thing. What's up, Bill? Happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day, guys. Yay. How do I recognize market tops? I start to lose a lot of money. How do I recognize market tops? I don't know. I think I'm really funny, but no one else really seems to think that I'm that funny. I think I'm hysterical. How do I recognize them? I tend to realize something's coming when I see negative divergence on the RSI weekly chart. That's my number one way that I determine if I'm at a market top. So if I take this and I overlay an RSI, and then I go, okay, like here. I think that divergences, magnitude divergences, are the easiest way to realize something might be coming. It doesn't mean you're going to catch it, but it does mean like, okay, I need to pay attention. So we were able to identify this when it happened, right? And that marked the top of the S&P. And then I was able to identify this when it happened because it marked the bottom of the S&P. And you can see the differences, right, between the negative divergence and the positive divergence right here, right? I think that they are very simply the easiest ways to look at the world. To me, they are. Now, is this going to be a negative divergence or not? I don't know. That I don't know, right? Because you could just ride it too, right? But when you start to see this and then you see the weakness, you better pay attention. And there are also events here, right? Like it's one data point. So I look at it and go, okay, I've got a technical indicator that's beeping, but is there something that changed? And this is where the Fed said maybe we shouldn't have been buying houses against, the U.S. consumer. And this is when CPI peaked. So was it here or here? It was here, right? So here, I'll show you. So, but it was here. CPI peaked. So that's how I do it. But there's usually this, right, that's telling you when, but there's usually an event. And it's usually a monetary or fiscal policy. If you're asking about the markets, that's why it's so important to be able to have dialogue about monetary and fiscal policy without people saying, oh, I like my guy, he's blue. I like my guy, he's red. I like green. So I think it's really important to get that. I think it's really important to get that and understand that, yeah, you can look at the technicals. If you're asking about stocks individually, during the day, if you're intraday trading, because you can go a lot of different ways with this question, dude. So I'm just giving you where I think the most value is. But intraday, I use RSI all the time. And I have proprietary indicators I use too. But if you just want to go through it, RSI is pretty decent. So, good. Thanks. So make it weird. All right, so that's good. Can you suggest small cap oil ETF? What about crack? Isn't that one? What about this one? The refiners. It's funny you say that because I always look at this. I'm like, if I ever wanted to buy a small cap or a mid cap, it's funny you say that because I think about this all the time. Like if I ever wanted to buy like a small cap or a mid cap ETF that was in refineries, I'd buy this. I would look at this, but that's up to you. I can't tell you what to do. ZS. What time is it? Oh, I gotta jump, guys. Oh, I gotta jump here. Take a look at ZS. I wouldn't go near that. I gotta go, guys. I'm super late. I know, but yeah, talk with the hands. The hands go flying. Flea and tick collars, yeah, maybe. You got 6 weeks from, you have 6 weeks. Good question. 6 weeks from the 14th. All right, I got to jump, guys. Trade to win today.